Welcome, my awesome friends, AI creatives. Today, we're jumping into the wild world of AI music. It's a world that many of you have started living in, but there are a few things that we need to clear up for those of you who are not familiar with the terms of service who actually owns your music. I've got my buddy Bert here who's going to be speaking to you about this topic. Bert, let's jump in.
Today, we're jumping headfirst into the wild world of AI music. It feels like pure magic, right? But hidden inside all that excitement is a really complex choice every creator has to face. Okay, just picture this for a second. An idea for a song just pops into your head. A melody, a lyric, a whole vibe. Now, instead of spending months, maybe thousands of dollars in a studio, you just type a few words. And in about a minute, a fully produced, ready-to-go track appears. That's the incredible promise of platforms like Suno. And right there, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The speed is unbelievable, the access is a total game changer, but the real answer to who actually owns that music? Well, that's buried deep in the terms of service. So let's go find out what they say. So first up, let's talk about why millions, and I mean millions, of people are flocking to these tools. It's because they feel less like software and more like a magical playground for making music, one that just tears down all the old barriers. I mean, the process itself could not be simpler. You type a prompt, something fun like an upbeat synth-pop song about robots falling in love. The AI does its thing and generates a totally unique track. And bam, you can share it instantly. It's just pure, on-demand creative satisfaction. And this quote just nails it. The feeling you get is intoxicating. In a world where we all want instant results, creating something amazing this fast is like a creative dopamine hit. And honestly, it makes it really, really easy to just click agree and not think about the fine print. And this is the whole pitch, right? The traditional way of making music is long, it's expensive. AI just collapses that entire timeline from months of work into a few minutes. But that incredible speed, it comes with a trade-off, a pretty big one that's hiding in plain sight. All right, so let's pull back the curtain and actually look at the legal deal you're making when you use these tools. This is that hidden contract, the one that spells out exactly what you can, and more importantly, what you can't do with the music you think you've made. So with Suno, there's a really clear line drawn between free and paid users. If you're on the free plan, it's for personal, non-commercial use, and you have to credit them. But if you want to put your song on Spotify or use it in an ad, you need to pay for a subscription. But here's the kicker. You only get those commercial rights for songs you make while you're actively subscribed. It creates this kind of golden handcuff situation for anyone getting serious. And here is the real catch. The one that gets almost everybody. Even if you are a paying customer, you still don't get full exclusive ownership. Because buried deep in those terms, there's a clause that applies to everyone. You grant Suno a permanent license to use your work. Okay, so what in the world does all that legal jargon actually mean for you? It means you're giving Suno the right forever to use your work for pretty much anything. They can use it to train their AI, they can put it in their own commercials, they can even license it or sell it to other companies, and they don't have to pay you a dime. And remember, that license is permanent. It never, ever expires. So let's break down what you're actually giving up. You're waiving your moral rights, which means you can't stop them from, say, using your song in a political ad you completely disagree with. You also lose any guarantee that your track is one of a kind. At the end of the day, you're pretty much handing over total creative control. And all this leads us to the central dilemma, the big trade-off for any creator using these tools. You're basically swapping creative sovereignty, your control and ownership, for incredible speed and access. So why do millions of people say yes to this deal? Well, for a lot of them, it's just about having fun. They're hobbyists, and they care way more about the joy of creating than about owning it. For others, it's what you might call the Netflix mindset. We're just used to accessing things instead of owning them. And for their goals, that's totally fine. But this brings up a really powerful counter-argument to being overly protective. What's the point of having total ownership of a song if it means that song is never actually heard by anyone? For a lot of people, letting an idea die on your hard drive out of fear is a much bigger failure than giving up a little control. So every creator is basically facing two potential traps here. On one hand, you can release your work and risk losing some control, but hey, at least your ideas get out there and have an impact. On the other hand, you can keep 100% control, but your work might die in silence, never leaving your computer. To put it really bluntly, one path might hurt your ego if your song gets used in a way you don't like. But the other path, hoarding your art, guarantees it has zero impact. That's a really tough personal choice. Look, the point here isn't to say one of these paths is right and the other is wrong. It's about making sure you can make a conscious choice, a deliberate decision that actually lines up with what you want to achieve as a creator. So here's a simple way to think about it. First, just understand the trade-off. Know what you're giving up for what you're getting. Second, be really honest with yourself about your goal. Are you just having fun and experimenting? Are you trying to build a career where ownership really matters? And finally, choose your tools to match that goal. Not every platform has the same fine print. And that brings us to a final thought that really sums this whole thing up. For a modern creator, the tragedy isn't just about the risk of selling your rights for too little. It's also the tragedy of clutching those rights so tightly that the world never gets to hear your voice at all. So the question every single one of us has to answer is, what is your music really worth? Is its value in owning it perfectly, or in its power to connect and be heard? That's a choice only you can make.
And there you have it, a very sobering question that I had to ask myself before creating anything with these tools. Which one is more important to you? Owning your entire work without any handcuffs, or getting your work out to the world? Let the skeptics debate, and let the aficionados celebrate. See you next time.